Hello guys, this is going to be a commentary featuring gameplay of Team Deathmatch on the Streets. So this commentary is going to strictly focus around the main console shooters and how basically my standpoint and my opinion on the skill that is required to be successful in each of these shooters. So the three main console shooters I'm going to sort of try to analyze and break down is Gears of War, of course, Call of Duty, and Halo. So basically when I was young, I grew up playing first-person shooters such as Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six and Black Arrow. Those were my favorite shooting games. Pretty much I think at the time of their release were my favorite games. I would love to just, go online and have clan matches. Basically back then they were called clans. And just, have a good time. And back then that sort of first-person shooter was very it was very tactical and skill based because there was no perks or attachments that you can apply to your weapon that will give you a sort of advantage in a certain scenario in terms of a battle. It really created a very linear and balanced experience for the end users. Basically, eventually I moved on to Halo. I never played Halo 1. I went straight to Halo 2 when that released because there was like a lot of hype behind it. I wanted to see what was really so good about Halo. And then as soon as I played Halo, it was, an entirely different experience for me because you now had the ability to vertically, incline and jump around and move around the map. So it was some very new elements that I had to learn in that game. But I really quickly grew to love the game, even though for about the first, I think it was about 3 to 5 months, I was getting completely destroyed in that game, but I still sat there and I still persisted and still wanted to know how to how to be a good player and how to eventually on demand outplay my enemies. One thing I loved about Halo was the consistent shots required to down someone, specifically with the main weapons such as the battle rifle. Back then the battle rifle required 4 shots to kill someone, and that really created a very consistent experience and made it very skill based. Also, it was very strategic and teammate based. It was really a game that you could be successful on an individual skill level, but if you are going up against a team that knows what they're doing, you're really not going to fear much if your teammates aren't working together as a unit. Now the next game that I jumped into, which was in 2006 and pretty much completely changed my my view on shooting games, was Gears of War. The game was amazingly, it was an amazingly fresh experience. It was a third-person shooter. It was bloody, gory, in your face, and it was just something I've never seen before. I'm never gonna forget the moment when I first started playing Gears of War. I was playing the campaign, and since I was so used to Halo, I was literally running through somewhat the beginning of the campaign, just hip firing my weapon throughout the whole point of it, because I didn't know that if you tap the left trigger you aim your weapon, and I was so used to Halo's tapping the right thumbstick, I thought that the game never had a zoom, so I was just hip firing my weapon. And it was until I got to a point in the mission where I had to shoot a button to open up the door, and I was just wondering how on earth can you hit this thing when your weapon's so inaccurate. Eventually I accidentally nudged the controller onto the table and it activated the left trigger, which pretty much aimed my weapon, and I was wondering what the hell. And then you guys pretty much know I don't read manuals, so that's why I never knew how to control the game. So from there, the multiplayer for Gears of War was a last attempt from Epic. Basically it was thrown in at the last second, and it pretty much became the staple of the franchise. The Gnasher wasn't really their intended dominant weapon, it was more of the Lancer, but it turned out to be the Gnasher because of the way the way you can move around, and it was just so much more intense to have a Gnasher battle as opposed to just sitting back and staying in cover and trading shots over and over with rifles. So Gears of War, as you can see, is my favorite shooter as of now. And the next game we'll talk about is Call of Duty. I played a bit of that, mostly Modern Warfare 2 and World at War, but I never really, capitalized and continued to play the entire franchise. But Call of Duty is a very fast-paced and a quick reflex-based game. And out of all of those 3 games, I would say that Call of Duty is the most, lone wolf-oriented game. You can single-handedly win a match by yourself in Call of Duty, primarily because of how fast you can kill your opponent. In Halo and Gears, it takes some time to kill someone because you actually have to outmaneuver them in terms of a movement scenario, and you also have to have the accuracy to continue to maintain your aim on that opponent to eventually bring them down. So if you're getting outnumbered, this really makes it damn near impossible to clutch, but it is possible. It's a lot, well, yeah, it's a not really, well, it is a lot more easier to clutch in Gears of War because you can just one-shot someone, but I'll say that in terms of a clutching factor, the easiest is Call of Duty, and then comes Gears of War, and then comes Halo. Halo is ridiculously hard to clutch in that game because of how fast you can just get team-shotted and naded. Gears of War's clutching, I would say, is the most intensive and the most spectacular to watch. And yeah, so let's go back to Call of Duty. Call of Duty is pretty much, undeniably the most popular shooting game. It's mostly because it's the most easiest shooting game to play. You primarily just have to point and aim at an enemy and just just hold the trigger down until they die, and they die very quickly. So having aiming skill isn't that important because of how fast they die. While in games like Halo and Gears of War, you can see someone and shoot someone first, but there is that chance that they can just turn around and completely give you some sort of crackhead juke strafe, wall bounce, or whatever you want to call it, and then you can no longer hit them. And then you're just watching your teammates play, or you're just watching the respawn counter time down. While in Call of Duty, if someone doesn't see you and you shoot at them, chances are they're going to be dead, and they don't really have a chance to react. So to pretty much summarize, Halo is more of a strategic team-based game where individual skill is sort of at a minimum, and the consistent gun battles in terms of like the BR and the DMR requiring the same shots at all. Wait, why am I stuck there? I want to show you guys a video basically. Yeah, this game is sort of glitchy here, but let's get back to what I was saying. So yeah, the consistent gun battles really promote movement skill and accuracy. Also, the reason why I kind of stopped playing Halo is because of the introduction of the armor abilities and the sprint, and they removed the BR. That was in Reach, but they brought it back. But still, it sort of feels like Call of Duty, and they kind of took away from the main element that was Halo, and made it seem like pretty much like a typical first-person shooter. Now, Call of Duty is a fast-paced. You just jump in, you get some kills, and then you jump out. This game is purely reaction time-based. If you have better reaction, or if you see someone before they see you, you're going to be a very successful player. Aiming and movement skill is at a minimum in Call of Duty because of how fast you die. You really don't have the chance to react and show your better movement skill. It's mostly, like I said before, whoever sees who or shoots who first. Now, Gears of War is mainly an in-your-face shooting game that really capitalizes on movement skill because of the fact that there's really no auto aim like Halo and Call of Duty has. The main gun is a Gnasher, and it's a semi-automatic rifle. It's a semi-automatic weapon, which means that if you miss your shots, especially in a 1v1 Gnasher battle, this could really mean the difference between you getting an extra kill or you getting an extra death added to your stats. So I love shooting games where the main weapons are semi-auto because it allows the players to dodge the other players' shots because they're not constantly pushing down bullets in a stream such as like an automatic weapon can do. So Halo and Gears is based off semi-auto weapons such as the battle rifle and the Gnasher and the DMR, which means they take more skill than Call of Duty, which is based off no specific weapon and it's mostly automatics. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Later.